Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming in from. Welcome to another authentic conversation. I'm your host, Adele Bernard, and welcome to the show. So, a little bit about me and the company that supports the show of Transition Clarity. I'm a soul strategist, intuitive guide, all about the turning points or the crisis junctures in your life. It's about taking you from, oh my gosh, what just happened, to down the new path, shining your light, being the best authentic self you can be. How is this done? Through many different tools and group work. I hold sacred circles for men and women to transform where they are at this time to where they actually want to be, whether it's changing jobs, going into retirement, death of a loved one, a divorce, or whatever turning point there is in your life. These circles and the work I do is like the bridge with assistance. I guide you through the journey so you can make up where you are going to go next from the heart rather than the mind. And if you like these podcasts and you want more of them, please subscribe, like, and share as it helps the algorithms to be seen, to get um, more viewers, but more importantly, so I can find the guests that you want to hear from. This is very important to me, and I hope you'll enjoy this next episode. So let me introduce today's guest. Holly Beck is an autoimmune recovery and energy coach who helps women in midlife calm chronic fatigue and autoimmune flare ups so they can stop canceling plans and finally trust their body again. After navigating her own 20-year healing journey with chronic fatigue and lupus, Holly now helps women rebuild their energy through her signature Health Bridge protocol. She's also the host of the Health Bridge podcast, where she explores holistic approaches to chronic illnesses and healing. And I have to say, I was honored to be a guest on her show. So, without further ado, let's welcome Holly to the show. And here we are, and welcome to the show, Holly Beck.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. And I did share that I was on your show in the pre-show, so I'll link that in the show notes with this too. So
Awesome.
I always start off with the same question to get the ball rolling. How did you become Holly from HealthBridge Coaching? Like, what was that transition? How did that evolve? Like, give me it in your words, not what I just read.
Sure. It was a long, slow, gradual transition, I would say. It wasn't like a light bulb moment where I'm like, oh, this is who and what I'm doing now.
Hmm.
I, in my early 20s, mid 20s, I came down with mono, Epstein-Barr, chicken or the egg.
Yep.
And that took me down pretty hard. I was out of work for almost 2 months. And when I started getting back to normal life, I still just wasn't myself. I was exhausted all the time. I was getting sick all the time and kept going back to the doctor to try to figure out what's going on. But at that point, my lab work looked fine. There was no active, mono going on. And so they just kept saying, well, maybe, get more rest or maybe cut out dairy was one of the recommendations. I mean, it was
Dairy
just
and
like,
wheat.
yeah, no, that was too long ago for them to figure that out. That didn't happen until about 12 to 15 years later. So anyhow, I just kept going back to the doctor, not getting any answers. Finally, they just told me, well, we think you just have chronic fatigue syndrome because we can't identify anything else. And it usually goes away on its own within about 2 years. So basically, good luck with that.
Well,
Hope it goes away faster.
and anyone that is aware of Lyme, lupus, mono, um, and the other 14 things that can go under the same label, it doesn't go away. It just lies dormant until it decides to flare, right? And
Yes.
it's like people that got diagnosed with Lyme disease. Well, were you in the woods? No. Lyme disease doesn't only come from ticks, right? It's in that family of, I don't know, the word that's coming to is mucus, which I don't know if it's right. I'm not a doctor, whatever. But it's all that same mucusy feel that it kind of sticks and lingers. It gets stuck and, like, oh, well, I cleared it because my throat and nose is fine, right? And then you're going, oh, I haven't cleared it because I'm now in bed again. Why? Because it just flared. And you're going, dang it, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept trying to live my life, trying to go out and do things. I had just gone through a divorce prior to getting
Mm.
sick and was so excited to have my life back again. And I could actually go hang out with friends again and do all the things that I felt like I couldn't do when I was in that relationship. And every time I would try to push myself a little bit, I would end up flaring. I would get sick or I would just get super fatigued and I could get through maybe a work shift, but not much else.
Hmm.
And that cycle went on for years and years. And I tried early on, I started looking into like, well, what alternatives are there to going to see my doctor? Who else can help me? And so I dabbled in acupuncture, I dabbled in some energy medicine, naturopath, like all these different things. And, but I was still kind of young and didn't have much money and could only do what I could do. So, I would be into something for a little bit, then I'd like just go back to normal life for a while and then it would flare up again. And then I'd be like, okay, well, maybe I should look into something else. Maybe it's food, maybe it's this or that. And, eventually, I ended up studying Western herbalism through a little mom and pop school here in San Diego and
Hmm.
enjoyed that immensely. It became almost like I didn't realize I was doing this at the time, but almost like a competition with myself. Like, can I get in another herb today? Like, how many herbs and plants can I put in my mouth today?
Hmm.
Like to the point where I realized later that I was overdoing it and it wasn't helping me as much as I was taught that it should be. So,
Well, and that's interesting because I've kind of gone down your journey in different ways. And I remember saying, who needs to be a drug addict? I'm a herbal addict, right? Like you'd have the
exactly.
handful of herbs plus a few tinctures plus and it's like enough. Like and um I want to look into a podcast that I was sent because they were talking about taking the um 23andMe or one of those tests for the biology of your makeup. So you're only taking the supplements that are going to actually help and leave the rest behind. So
Yeah.
everyone says, oh, you need vitamin D or you need magnesium. And it's like, maybe your body doesn't, but it still, because you get enough vitamin D elsewhere, still needs the K2,
Yeah.
right? Most people take vitamin D without the K2, so they're washing it away anyways. But we're not, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. And I understand the journey of, well, I'm feeling better. I can get back into life. And then right? And so here you are
Yeah.
living in sunny California, like young, and you're going, is life worth living?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a bit of a vicious cycle. It's like, yes, I'm going to go out and party with my friends after work and, you know, I'd have a ton of fun. And then I would go down for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But then I'd start feeling better. So I'd try to make up for lost time and go out and do all the things again. And then boom, I'd go down again.
Yeah.
I remember when I first moved in with my boyfriend, still current partner,
Uh-huh.
long time ago now. He he knew that I struggled with fatigue. He knew that I struggled with all these things, but because we weren't living together, it he wasn't as confronted with it face to face because, if I didn't go out with him one night, he didn't realize that it was because I was like, no, I really was down. It wasn't just like, I don't feel like it tonight.
Yeah. You're
And when we moved
back
in
into
together,
bed.
that was, yeah, it was a learning experience for, I guess, me and communicating how I was feeling, and then him and like really understanding, like, oh, this isn't just like she doesn't feel like it. This is like she can't.
Yeah.
She can't manage it.
Yeah. Well, and I have a family member that goes through it, and I said, well, how do you handle it when, on her down months? What do you mean, how do I handle it? I just pick everything up because she physically can't, right? And
Yeah.
then I think, and then you see about like um, the real petty things that couples fight about, and you're like, no, you want that partner when you physically cannot pick up your water to help you, right?
Yeah.
And to help you just because, not because you can't, right? And so,
Yeah.
if you don't mind sharing a little bit about how he helped you in those moments.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Little things. I mean, I was never to a point where I couldn't physically like lift my water glass,
Yeah.
and people, but I know plenty of people that that have been or are at that point. So
Hmm.
I don't want to portray that I was at that point, but I certainly had days where I was in bed the majority of the day. I'd get up, I'd get an errand done or, go grocery shopping, and then I'm like, done. That's
Hmm.
it. you know? So a little things like he would handle making food, like he would cook for us, he would clean the dishes.
Hmm.
He would take the dog out when I couldn't, because I always love, that's usually my thing. Like I love going on walks. I love taking the dog out. Like that's our little time together. You know what I mean? But some days I just can't. The dog still has to get out.
Yeah.
He would take those things on. Rubbing my shoulders, rubbing my feet, just the little things make a huge difference. And I'm not saying it was always easy. There's been learning curves the entire time of like, I think when you have something like chronic fatigue where you might look fine,
Hmm.
but you're not feeling fine, it's can be really deceiving for other people to really get that you're not feeling good or that you're hurting.
Hmm.
I remember at work, I grew up in the restaurant industry here in Southern California, and I would always complain of my back hurting and asking for help in lifting certain things or dumping the trash in the big trash bin outside, things like that. And I think that it was very perceived that I was just trying to slack and get other people to do literally the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was going to, we'd have like a big barrel that we would fill up of ice from the ice machine. And I was doing that in the middle of shift. It's heavy once it's filled, and then you have to cart it all the way over to the other side of the restaurant to dump in the ice bin for service. And my manager was there, and I knew that he didn't really believe me. He thought I was embellishing things, and I had a spasm in my back when I tried to pick it up, and I just like dropped it and was like obviously in pain.
Yeah.
And then I kind of saw the light bulb go on with him, like, oh, she's not faking it,
Yeah.
you know? And he kind of stepped up a little bit and, like, okay, I'll help you.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
that's something.
and there's some things like I grew up in the restaurant industry too. And it's like I can do this, but I shouldn't
Right,
have to,
right.
right? Like why are the little women, I'm not saying you're little or big or whatever. But I'm saying like don't get the smallest or whatever the person to lift the big ice bucket when you got five guys standing around twiddling their thumbs, right? Well, there's kitchen stuff, so they can come to the dining room, And it was
Right.
funny because as you said that, I remember helping out at a equine riding center for autistic children and stuff, right? And I would do anything in the barn except lift the one saddle on the one horse. And they'd be like, I go, too heavy, too high. Any other questions? Because
Yeah.
I know if I carry too much heaviness, I can damage my eyes. I'm not willing to do that for a volunteer position. Call me crazy? I don't know. But they got used to it. He needs saddling. Thank you.
Right.
Right? Because I can do all the other stuff. I had no problem helping out and doing everything, but yeah, I put my boundary up for this one thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And and then it got to a point like I think maybe 3 weeks in, they're just like, we got it. And I'd laugh, right? Because I'm like, I don't have to tell you now.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
I
And
think,
so, okay, go ahead.
yeah, I think it's something, the boundaries is really important. And
Mhm.
that's always been really hard for me, setting boundaries. And that's really common with women in general with autoimmune, is that setting boundaries. We want to be the helpers. We want to say yes to everything. We want to just naturally. That's, I don't know if that's like natural personality or how we were trained or a little bit of both, but it's very common for us to give too much of ourselves. And so learning to set boundaries is still an ongoing thing that I'm getting better at slowly but surely.
Yeah. But
um,
it's also part of being the team, right? You don't want to be,
yes,
five women in a kitchen making big dinner and you're like named the slacker because you had
yes,
to sit down to peel the potatoes. Well, no, like I only have so much energy, and if you want me not to sleep in the meal, I gotta, conserve some of it making it, right?
exactly.
And yeah, and I think all of us have to understand our limits, right? Because, like, yeah, I love hiking. I love going for walks. Some days I can do a 3 hour hike up the mountain. Other days I better stay in town and just go around the park with a few less hills.
Yeah,
Because depending on what was going on after, I want to be part of that fun too. So I can't exert myself going up the 3 hour mountain when I should have only done around the town kind of thing. And I mean, and in knowing that in my limitations, I was always left the car keys when we went hiking because they'd keep going and I'd go, see ya. And I'd go back to the car, read my book. Right. So I had some of the hike to my what I could do on that day and also had my rest time while they went crazy.
I actually love that
Hmm.
because that shows understanding from the people that you are with, understanding on your end of what your limits are. And there wasn't pressure for you to push yourself beyond that limit.
Hmm.
I mean, have, I even still, I guess, in some ways feel a little bit bad because I've said no to so many things that were outdoor activities that were strenuous because the friend group that I worked with at the restaurants were very active. They like to go biking, hiking, playing games on the beach. And I love the idea of all those things, but because I hadn't been able to be overly physically active because it would kick in the fatigue and I would end up getting sick. And, I wanted to prevent that cycle. So I would almost always say no when I'd be invited to these long hikes. And it never even occurred to me to be like, I'll go with you and I can stop halfway and wait for you guys to come back down. Like,
Mhm.
why didn't I ever think of that? I don't know.
Well, because I think in a way it's pride for a lot of people, where I don't think I ever had that. Like I just I just knew from like because I was sick my whole life, right? So I didn't have any time that I knew I could do something, right? Like even going sometimes like just going swimming with friends as 12-year-olds, it'd be like, yeah, no. Like just the thought of changing, putting your bathing suit on, going to the pool, coming back. It's like, no. I've already gotten dressed for the day. I'm good. But it doesn't mean I wouldn't go and just have my chair on the side of the pool. Because I could throw the ball at them and I could like laugh and whatever. Um, yeah, and I think also too, that group of friends that I would kind of all see at the truck, um, they were hikers like 20 miles up crazy Rocky Mountains. And I'd be like, I'm just tired thinking about it. Right. And then my
Yeah.
one friend would be hiking and then I'd say, oh, and she goes, this is a good turnaround point for you. I go, thank you. Because she'd know the hike better than I would, right? And I go, okay, see ya. And I'd clock my watch and then I'd text, I'm back at the truck, right? Because they want to know that I made it down too, right? Because we do have wildlife, it is the Canadian Rockies. And so it was just kind of a, a group understanding. But then there are some days that it's like, I think I'll just stay back and put the chili on for when you guys get back. Right?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
want to be included and I want to be invited. Um, but I also have to understand my limits. Like it's even the other day when I said, dang, I wasn't invited again. And my friend goes, but you're not skiing. I said, I never said this time. I'm just saying I gotta start getting back in. It's not, I said, don't get me wrong. It wasn't that you weren't trying to invite me. I just went, "Yeesh, another missed opportunity, right?
Right.
And I said, one day I'm going to surprise you and say, I'm ready. And she goes, okay, right? Um, because I miss it. And I'm sure you do. I'm sure like there's days that you're like, oh, I would have liked to go on that hike,
Yeah.
you know? But I'm saying, well, if I don't go on the hike, are you guys going to have like, something to eat after? And
Right.
you're there.
Hmm.
Then you're still not, you might be missing the activity, but you're not missing the social.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing out of this conversation is I want people to understand is pick where you're gonna like don't make everything a battle because that makes your body even sicker,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Pick and choose how you can show up to enjoy still being with friends.
Right.
And the friends that love you and honor you will make sure you get invited to where you can be invited,
Yeah.
you know?
And something to put into that part of the conversation is that we can have that wonderful supportive friend group that gets it and they can invite you knowing that there's a 50% chance you could say no, but they'll still invite you anyways and they respect whichever answer you give them.
Mm-hmm.
But the other aspect of that is what is the story that we're telling ourselves? What is our internal dialogue when we say yes or no? Because that's another key element here in settling our nervous system around this because the narratives that I used to tell myself were not supportive. They
Well,
were like, I can't do this. I can't, like, I'm never going to be able to say yes to that hike. I'm never going to be able to be like really be one of the group because I can't be there all the time. Like, that's what I was telling myself. That
yeah,
wasn't coming from my friends.
no,
They totally understood, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
I felt bad about it myself having to say no.
Well, and that brings up a different conversation of what is the negative self-talk going on as the background tape that keeps on playing that you got to go, stop. Thanks for sharing. That's not how I feel today. But it's also, this is what I learned with my friends was that spur of the moment didn't work 98% of the time because depending on when they were going to go, depending on how much craziness I had during the week, how much downtime I had to recoup after the crazy week, I couldn't go maybe Saturday morning. But Sunday morning I could, but they chose Saturday. Well, I can't go Saturday. I can go Sunday, right? Or, just different things like that. Like, um, because I know I've gone places that it's like, oh, but they invited me again. I really should show up. And as soon as I said should, I said, you should be going home. Like, right? Like, you're too tired. Like, home would have been the better bet. And then you go to happy hour or whatever, and you're not enjoying yourself anyways because you can't follow the conversation. You're too tired. Your body has
Hmm.
said, I'm done, right? And I
Yeah.
remember, I remember when I was a tour operator, like I didn't have those times. I had 50 people in my bus, or on a 45-foot bus, and you're like, I can't drive them to the hotel. I'm kind of done. But you still have to
Yeah.
drive them an hour or whatever to the hotel, and you're just like, oh my God. And so that that's a night that you're not having dinner because you don't have the energy to stay awake to chew,
Right.
right? Because you got to
Yeah.
get as much downtime before you got to get up and go collect them again.
Right.
And it's not like you can go, can someone take today for me? Because there's no one there to take it for you,
Right. Right.
you know? And yeah, so you gotta know your limits and work within them. Like if you're on an upswing, get as much prepared, done, handled for the day you're down and you can't do anything,
Yeah.
right?
I was
And
I was not good at that when I was younger.
well,
The prepping ahead of time and the preparing for that sort of thing. I was not good at that.
I think I learned because um I don't want to think about it later, right? Like I like knowing that if I spend a day cooking, I can not worry about food for a long time. It's done, you know?
Hmm.
Um, yeah. And I figure if I'm going to make the mess to make dinner once, I'm going to make it for many. And that's
It
even
makes perfect
salads.
sense.
Like even
Yeah.
salads, like I cut up everything for the week. So I go doot doot doot, salad done, let's eat,
Hmm.
right? But getting it all ready for doot doot, it's a good couple hours of cutting and chopping
Yeah.
and packing away and right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's all those little things that can add up to really making life so much easier,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have fatigue or any chronic illness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for me, now where I'm at, I just look at simplicity as much as possible. So, how can I simplify things? How can I streamline things? Now that I work early in the morning instead of at night, that puts a whole different spin on things. So, I prep everything the night before to make my
Absolutely.
morning as easy as possible.
So you can get as much sleep as possible.
Exactly, exactly. And when I'm not stressed at night, worrying about the next day and worrying about what am I going to wear tomorrow morning, what am I going to pack for lunch, etc., then I sleep better.
Hmm. Well, and
And
I even say this to moms with kids, get them part of the decision. They don't want to get up and go to school in a rush. How about we pick out your clothes for tomorrow now? Okay. And we'll put them on your bed. Okay. So they just get out of their jammies, put their clothes on. Then they have the 5 minutes or 10 minutes to watch cartoons before they come for breakfast. They can start packing their lunches in grade one. Like, who says you have to do it all? Because that's when they start getting picky eaters, too, right? Well, I didn't want that for lunch. Okay, how about you pack your own lunch? Then you get to choose what you want to eat. So you can't come home and tell me that I packed the wrong thing, right? And it's
love it.
amazing because then they're part of the decision. They're getting their own autonomy. Like if they packed a crappy lunch, that's what they crap. But, you know, if they start crashing in the afternoon, well, you think we should put some protein in there? Okay. You think you need more than just cookies? Maybe. Right? Like, they start realizing that their body's not functioning. So they don't end up as adults with chronic fatigue,
Hmm.
right? They're eating better throughout their day. Have you followed the medical medium?
Not thoroughly, but I'm definitely aware of a lot of what he talks about.
Yeah, I love his
Hmm.
books
Hmm.
because it just like I remember reading the first one, and I was just like, where have you been all my life? Because it was just like, yep, that happened. Yep, 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 right? Um,
Hmm.
and so it's just interesting because I know in one of our talks when I was saying about, in my early 20s, going, God, I can't do this, right? This isn't life, right? And finding the only doctor in Canada who happened to be 20 minutes away from where I lived. There's no accident, and I'm not saying all doctors are good or bad. I'm saying work with who you have and keep looking.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to a lady the other day. She could tell by, I don't know exactly what she could tell, like whether the tone of my voice, how I was speaking, whatever. She's like, you need this, this, and this for homeopathic, whatever they're called. Yeah,
Homeopathy.
yeah, right. And I'm like, why? And she goes, because you need to get the last of the residents out for your body to be optimum. I'm like, you got that from my voice? And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, dang, you're good. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and when she explained why, I was like, oh, that explains so much because I'm going, I don't know, my body's saying I need a cleanse, and my body says my liver says, and my body says this. And it's like, I don't know what to do with that information. And then I'm like, okay, God, you'll always tell me. And boom, she showed up in my calendar.
Love it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Right?
I know recently I had somebody sign up for or reach out to be on my podcast, and it's like the exact type of specialty that I'm like, I need help with that actually right now. So I'm like, yes, you can be on my podcast, and I need a consultation with you. It's like, boom. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, universe.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I also say too. It's like we have these platforms, share the knowledge,
Hmm.
right? And we can all rise together, right? Because this April is probably going to be the most transformative we're going to have ever, right? And it's also saying astrologically, don't sit and try to figure out something at your computer. Just start moving. And I'm like, well, that, and like, it's not even like it has to be big movement. Tap your foot, move your hand, like just keep moving. And it's funny because since I was understanding that, I became to talk with my hands again. I never used to talk with my hands. I'm like,
Mm,
okay, we're just keeping moving, right? Yeah,
love it. Well,
yeah.
there's an ancient practice of tremoring or shaking with, ancient cultures
Hmm.
that we've sort of gotten rid of and looked down upon in Western cultures.
Hmm.
But I had a gentleman on my podcast speaking to it. This is what he teaches is how to essentially regulate your nervous system by intentionally putting yourself into
A shake.
um, a shake
Hmm.
or a tremor. And it's so simple and it's so like that was kind of a light bulb for me. It's like, wow, that is so, so powerful and
Hmm.
something you can learn to do pretty easily and just 5, 10, 20 minutes a day
Hmm.
in bed if you want. You don't it's nothing strenuous.
Hmm.
You can be lying down and doing this. And like, this should be taught to us as kids.
Well, and you wonder if the the ADHD and all that labeling, they learned how to shake, but they need the drugs because
Right.
they probably were shaking naturally and is disrupting the teacher,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
it was interesting because I had a friend years ago. I'm like, "What is with you? Your leg is just always going." She goes, "I don't know." And it was a chiropractor who said, um, "I said don't understand this. Is it something in the spine, whatever?" And he says, "No, she's not burning enough energy off." So when she sits down, she's saying, "Oh, okay, she's sitting. At least we can get her to move this way." So once she started burning it off, she stopped shaking,
Yeah.
right?
And you said maybe these kids on the quote unquote spectrum, maybe they wouldn't be on meds if they could be allowed to do the shaking. Well, I would say the same thing for adults on meds of all different sorts, especially autoimmune, because I feel like, in everything I've learned in my experience and researching, it is this dysregulated nervous system. It is this holding of things in and
Hmm.
not expressing them. And if we could allow our bodies to express, we don't even necessarily have to express things verbally.
Hmm.
If it's like pent up anger, pent up resentment, or whatever that is, that's all holding in. But if we can let the body release it, we might not even have to release these things that verbally might get us into trouble and who knows what different scenarios, right?
Well,
Relationship at work or whatever, like we can let the body release that tension and then we can come at it and verbalize it in a calmer
mhm.
manner.
Well, and you think about like the kids who rock themselves as kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually tends to be allergies,
Hmm.
pent up emotion. Even the speaker this morning at a different that I was at a call at, um, he's saying like before you even get to Alzheimer's and dementia, you're having not strokes, epilepsy, like some kind of seizure. That's the word, a seizure, right? And he's bringing it right back down to your gut. Hello, exactly what you're talking
Everything,
about, right? And so
everything in the gut.
I know, and so it's just like um, you think about the big institutions of health and whatever, they're so far away from the gut just to keep the lights on, the building running, the and even he said um not to say anything good, bad or indifferent about the care homes because they're doing their best, right? But if you can find the ones that are privately run, the smaller homes, they're closer to your gut. And I'm like, oh,
Mm.
that's so true, right? Because you think about like end of life care, like hospices, they usually have max of 5 patients at a time, right? And you say, well, why do they need to be so close to what's going on in the gut? Because it takes a lot of good nutrition in small amounts to be able to do the transition. People think, oh, they're going to hospice, they just stop eating. No, they need micro doses to keep them functioning enough to do that transition, right? You need good, healthy gut to leave your body, right? They're
I bet
not
that's
big.
something people haven't thought about.
Well, I know. Well, and like I wouldn't have thought about it in a lot like before 5 years ago, but 5 years ago I started like seeing a lot of different things, seeing people in hospice, working in the care homes. Like I'm going, oh my gosh, like this isn't an end of life care. This is what were you doing in your 20s that has affected you in your 80s,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? This is more than, oh, I don't think I'll eat cheese this week, or maybe I'll change the bread I'm eating. This is a lifelong journey, right? And I know even in my health, like everyone's saying, eat chicken and fish, eat chicken and fish. I just about died. I'm allergic to
Yeah.
both of them. And
The
then,
fish also.
yeah, and then, well, I can eat um, a little bit of tuna and I can have snapper, red snapper. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, and so it's really interesting because I remember um, years ago, and I was eating chicken and fish and everything, and then I stopped in at my parents, and they were having beef, and I went, "Oh my God, that smells so good. Well, stay and have some." I said, "No, I don't eat beef anymore," thinking that was the healthy choice. Oh my gosh, I stayed, and I was just like, "I'm never eating chicken again," and I don't. I mean, I can touch it now. There's a point there that I couldn't even touch it without my hands swelling. That's how like
Hmm.
allergetic, right? Oh, and
Hmm.
then I know we were talking about eggs, and so I was talking to my friend who we do land clearings, right? And so I was asking his thing, is it the eggs from the right farm you can eat because they're cleansed and they're herbal and they're whatever?
Yeah, I've
Or
tried that.
well, no, but it's just really interesting because most people don't cleanse their lands,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
and then I know you said duck eggs, and I still tested no. I'm like, cool. But then the person that said to take the drops said, you can eat eggs. And I go, huh, okay. Not right now you can, but you will be. And I'm like, because
Nice.
she's saying it's all stored in the imprints
Uh-huh.
that are trying to finally leave because I'm ready for it
Right.
all to leave. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying yes.
Hmm. Well, I used to not be able to do any milk
Hmm.
at all without a very upset stomach. And I've got a few funny stories around that. But when I shifted and went carnivore and animal based for quite a
Mm.
while, just a few years ago, I can eat I can eat dairy now. I mean, I could always eat cheese, but now I can actually drink milk. Whereas before, oh boy,
But
I
it's,
could I couldn't make it to the bathroom fast enough from the time I had, when I'd been accidentally given a
oh,
latte that was made with milk instead of soy.
mm,
That was I had 2 hours where I was stuck in a food court and needed to be by the bathroom. I
Hmm.
mean, just stuck. Day done. I had a trainee with me that I was training in sales. Couldn't leave,
Yeah.
couldn't leave. And now I can have milk latte, no problem. Not that I do that often, but I
So that's
can.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what blood type are you?
A.
Oh, and that's even more interesting
Mm-hmm.
because the people that are usually intolerant to milk can't have cow's milk. They can have sheep's milk,
Yeah.
like goat milk.
It doesn't have lactose.
Yeah.
So I did sheep and goat primarily for a long time,
And it's still
off and on.
bothered?
With regular milk. No, sheep and goat were fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. And fresh sheep's milk from the farm is like nothing else you've ever had. It's so creamy and delicious.
See, and I didn't grow up on milk, and the thought of drinking a glass of milk just is not.
Well, I
My
know. I
stomach
didn't
can
grow up on
curdle
it.
just like
Yeah, I didn't grow up on it either because I couldn't tolerate it. I'd have a stomach ache, and my mom finally figured it out, like, oh, it's from the milk.
Mhm.
So we'd go for ice cream and I'd get sherbet or sorbet, because I
Yeah.
couldn't tolerate it. I remember when I was a kid, we'd go and get milkshakes after swimming lessons.
Hmm.
And every time I would complain, and it's like, oh, now I'm figuring this out for my kid,
Well,
and she finally figured out no more milk for her.
see, and for me, it was more the egg in the milk, in the ice cream,
Oh yeah.
not the milk.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, like, and that's why I can, like, Dairy Queen is like, there's a little bit of milk. It's more like ice milk, so it's thinner, like skim milk. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's if I had ice cream, it'd be there. But I try not to have
Mm-hmm.
it because it's sugar. I don't want the sugar.
I
Um,
know.
I know. It's like we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. But so how did you like the carnivore? Like you
I
only ate
loved it.
meat?
I
No,
loved
nothing?
it. I fluctuated between full carnivore, which is all meat, and uh, animal based, which allows in some fruits, basically. So
Hmm.
the savory fruits like squash, avocado, berries are allowed, olives are allowed, healthy fats. So that would give me a little more variety. And I am a foodie at heart. I mean, I grew up in Napa Valley where we have some of the best food in the world. And I was really assuming that I would not enjoy the diet, that I would really wanting more variety than that. But the simplicity of it, I just totally embraced. And it made the stress of making food,
Easy.
it took the stress away because all I had to do was cook chicken, cook beef. Like that was it. Throw a
Oh,
few
so you
olives on the plate, have a
mixed.
few berries. I did mix. Yeah.
Okay, because
I
I've known
This is
some carnivores that
more
are
because
beef only.
yeah. This is more because I still am trying to accommodate living with a partner who doesn't necessarily want to be full carnivore and only eat beef, salt, and water.
I can't
So,
imagine why.
all right. So I get it. And so I allowed variety. But so we would mix it up. I still ate pork. I still ate chicken. Most people on carnivore won't because it's higher inflammatory, especially if you're not getting, farm raised heirloom varieties, right? So I get that. And in an ideal world, I would have cut those out too. It just didn't work with the confines that I was working within. So we still kept that going. But I absolutely loved it. My stomach had never been better, to be honest. I was having regular bowel movements, which I'd never had. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, I think I was in bad need of healthy fats and just that simplicity of highly absorbable nutrients from meat to rebuild my gut health. And now that I'm back eating, whole foods and I eat local produce seasonally here, um, I'm finding that I have to work on my gut some more. So I'm not back to square one by any means, but I have to do more to keep my gut health intact than when I do with carnivore. However, I do think it's important to keep a variety in the gut to keep that microbiome, um, to help that microbiome flourish with more gut flora. So I'm now always in a learning process. Right now, I'm in a learning process of like rebuilding after doing an elimination diet.
Hmm. Oh, that's so fascinating. Because yeah, like I got to the point like I had my berries and lentils in the morning and I had my salad at night and it was good. And then I was like, and then I had just regular meals one night. I was like, oh, I missed these. So I had them for a while. And then I'm like, no, missing my salads. So I go back to my salads. And then I'm like, so now, yeah, like I kind of switched it up. But I wonder if like if you just switched it up with um like 1 week carnivore a month and then one like the three because they say that, right? Like you take out milk, yeah, your body will get better. You put milk back in and it will flare because you haven't had it, right? But then on the other hand, like when I was going through my medical stuff, early 20s was like all shellfish, everything. Like I'm like, but I eat it all the time. And then he reiterated, I don't know how you're sitting in my office. You should be dead. Right? Because all the labs came back like screaming. And I'm like, huh. But as you say, right? You clean it out, you clean it out. And it was like, oh yeah, I guess I really was sick, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I found out about the shellfish, it was amazing how my elders in the family, same bloodlines, were like, all of a sudden they can't eat it. I'm like, hmm.
Hmm.
I said, shouldn't you guys have found out first before me?
Why'd you leave this to me?
Yeah. Well, but that's another way of looking at health is that we have come in to this incarnation to end all this stuff for any generations after, whether or not you've had kids or not, right?
I appreciate you saying that because I feel like this life for me is all about learning to heal myself so I can help others. And I don't have kids.
Hmm.
I don't know how I would find the time to deal with kids because taking care of myself has consumed the majority of my life at this point, I praise every woman that has kids for being that selfless to do that. To me, I didn't think it would be fair to my kids for me to have them. And you know, anybody could easily argue with me against that. Like, I understand all those other arguments, but I didn't want to have to ignore my kids because I have to crash. But sometimes it's like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Snap of the fingers, I'm done, and I have to face plant on the bed, and I'm going to be there for a few hours. And I don't know how coherent I'm going to be afterwards, right? You can't do that when you have a toddler. You
Well,
just can't,
you
not
kind of
unless you have a
can.
huge support system.
You kind of can because this is how my niece does it. She's like, I'm done. And then the youngest says, tabby time. So he takes his tabby, like his tablet, and my niece crawls in with mom for cuddle time,
Well, I
right?
mean, like I said, I know there's other arguments out there.
Yeah.
That's always just been my mindset around it for me personally.
Yeah,
I
no,
respect
I
any other
get it.
woman.
But then
Yeah,
there's times that like how you say she's done and then
yeah,
my nephew takes all the kids,
yeah.
right? But then it's also too like, yes, your partner's very helpful right now, right?
Hmm.
And with kids, would he start resenting you?
Right.
Right? Like, because my
Exactly.
nephew will be like, ah, right? He'll have a whole stress at work, and then he's like, oh crap, she's on her downtime. He has all the stuff to do. And I said, but you
Right.
love her? And he goes, I love her. Right? Because he knew going in,
Yeah.
right? She didn't
Yeah.
just wake up one day and say, I have lupus. She had lupus
Right.
when they got together. She had lupus all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know, look, if I would have gotten pregnant, I would have figured it out.
Hmm.
It's as simple as that. But I had the ability to not.
And
And
you probably weren't
that's
with the right partner to get pregnant
perhaps,
because
yeah,
that's why you're
perhaps.
divorced. Eh,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
there's blessings all around, um and I also look at it like in my life of I wasn't blessed with my own kids, but oh my gosh, do I love the kids around me.
Sure.
You
And I
know,
have
like,
nothing against kids. Like, I'm not one of those that
oh no,
doesn't
no, no,
want
I'm
kids
not saying
because
that,
of
but I'm
that.
just saying like
Yeah.
because I just go, I don't know. I think you guys are all mine somewhere along the way.
Right.
Like, just coming back for a
Exactly.
visit,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I take great joy in my nieces and my nephew, and, you know, I appreciate having the kids in our little neighborhood here and,
Yeah,
watching them grow up. And now one of them just had a birthday party and they're playing softball out in the driveway. And like, I love that,
yeah.
I love having that around.
And it um when you're not in it day to day, you can appreciate the best. But I also, in a weird way, think there's a reason a lot of us didn't have kids because we are lessening the population, right? And there is a study done in South Korea because of the whole K-pop. They're not allowed to date. They're not allowed to have boyfriends or girlfriends. They got to, right? So they're saying 1 in 7 will have be a grandparent. That's scary. So they're
Mm-hmm.
missing whole generations of having kids.
Yeah. I
Because
don't
by the
know.
time
I
they
don't,
realize that they're not going to make it big in K-pop, they've already put their whole childbearing years away.
uh, yeah. I don't know. I'm not totally convinced that we need to depopulate the planet,
It's
but
happening. It doesn't matter if we agree.
yeah, no, it's definitely happening.
Hmm.
Um, I, I, in my friend group, I am around a lot of, you know, healers of various sorts or channelers or, people
Hmm.
that are somewhere in this woo-woo healing holistic world.
Yeah.
And the majority of us don't have kids, which I find really interesting. Um, and I think it has more to do for me with, I don't know,
Consciousness.
elevating the consciousness, elevating the frequency levels.
Hmm.
And there has to be guides for that,
Hmm.
and we all have our own little piece of what we can share with our community.
Hmm.
And to
And
me, it's more about that.
well, I agree with that too. But we also got to know that the baby boomers was the biggest generation the world has seen and will ever see, right? And so then the next generations where we fall in is like, no, we're here to like we're cleaning up the planet. Like we are in the crux of the old world is done. Whoever chooses to stay in the old world, bless them, honor them. That's great for you. Whoever's coming over to the new world, bless them, honor them, great for you. I look at it as I came onto this earth. My contract is the bridge. Whoever is willing to come over to the new world, here's my hand. I welcome you. Let's go. Whoever's not, I wish you well, you will not see me again. Right? Because I've had this in my head since I was 5, 6 years old. And then the movie came out where the invisible man put on his cloak and he became invisible to those around. And I'm like, that's me. And my mom's like, what? And I go, that's me. I felt invisible for majority of people, but the ones who could see me knew I was here for a reason to help them shift whatever. There's no accident my company's named Transition Clarity, right? You're looking for the clarity to take that next step to a bigger, evolved, more enlightened being of who you are, living from your heart rather than your head. We've all lived too much from our heads in the shoulds, have tos, the musts, rather than our hearts of we're in the flow, abundance is here, I am shining my light. Period. Whatever comes in the light for us to be in, we will do. But if we're not supposed to be in it, it won't show up. And so yes, I had my pity parties along the way going, why me? Like, this is crap. Like, God, you didn't send me back for this. Bring me home. Right. But have I helped so many people like you have helped so many people with our journey? Absolutely. Would we wish it on our worst enemy? Not a chance. Nope.
100%.
Right? But we are just being the light we are supposed to be. This is our contract. The world will figure out the kids on its own because the new kids coming in are a hybrid. They're half human, half galactic.
As long as they're not half AI, we can deal with it.
Well, and people can say what they want about AI. AI is here to make us um, think differently, ask better questions, go stop being so surface level, right? Um,
Mhm.
because I know I fought AI for like a year going, you're giving me a whole bunch of pages of crap, right? Well, I wasn't writing good questions and I wasn't giving it parameters and I wasn't saying short and sweet and I wasn't saying, and then I was like, dang. So I started adding all those parameters and and I'm not getting 20 pages anymore. I'm getting two, short and sweet. Let's go, right?
Yeah.
And even like we were talking the other day, well, what's a green page or whatever? I don't even know what it's called. Evergreen, whatever it's called. It's a document that every time we're on a stage, a podcast, or whatever, it will continuously be there. It will never change. So if someone finds this podcast in 20 years, I'm still doing the core thing. I might put different
Yeah.
tools in. I might add different. The core will always be the core. You're in a turning point in your life. The crisis is exploding. How do you want to change? That's not going to change,
Hmm.
right? Whether I'm working with men, women, the new kids coming in, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're at a crisis point. How are you going to change,
Yeah.
right? And I'm so
Agreed.
excited for the new kids coming in. I'm just like,
Nice.
I just feel like they're just gonna be so electric and so full of like cool energy. Like, yeah.
Yeah, we're in an interesting time where, oh, I mean, my little comment about as long as they're not half AI, what
Mhm.
I'm really mean by that, because I agree with everything you're saying. There are definite blessings with AI.
Mhm.
I just mean there is a level where we're just trying to plug our kids into the computer system. You know what I mean? We're trying to make them drones. And I think there's a lot shifting on the educational level with kids, where a lot of families are trying to break out of that mold
Mhm.
and do things differently
Mhm.
and keep their kids connected to real life, and then these other things can be tools.
Yeah.
Whereas a
Yeah.
lot of schooling is keeping them, they're trying to make the kids the tools that are plugging into the system.
Yeah. And the old system is going to evolve and change in time because the kids are going to demand it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember, when I used to go to work downtown, and this is my naivety, right? That we had two papers, right? We had the Herald and we had the Sun. And I used to think people read the Sun because it's easier to read on the bus and the trains. Then I found out the Herald is for grade 8 readers, minimum grade 8. The Sun was grade 3. And I went, oh my gosh, we have a lot of uneducated adults on these buses and trains coming into the corporate offices.
Mm-hmm.
And kids nowadays are not learning to read because their tabby can do it or the phone can do it, right? And even
Mm-hmm.
me, who used to read 3 to 4 books a month, I don't remember the last time I picked up a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I have too many emails that, well, no, I'm not even reading those, so can't say that. Like, I'm not, right? I get
Right.
the gist of it and I go, good enough. I can't, like, right? Um, so I can't imagine if we don't start reading as a community, as a culture, as a, like, to these kids, how they're going to make it in the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because um my parents used to have a wholesale food company and one of their best chefs, right? It was really, I said, what is your potato salad recipe? Because I've never tasted anything like it. And he goes, do you want to know the secret? I go, yeah. He goes, Mrs. Cunningham telling Fonzie and Richie how to make it on the Happy Days. That's when he told me he could not read. We never brought it up. We never said it. We never shamed him because he was a natural at throwing crap together and making it
Yeah.
in large like because they're wholesale, right? So they'd have to make large commodities of stuff, right? Like 50 pails of chili, and he'd never look at a recipe because he couldn't
Yeah.
read the recipe.
Yeah.
So you learn what you need to learn. And then I remember on one of the bus trips, I was taking out all these teachers, and between the four in front, over 120 years of teaching. And I said, are we getting dumber or smarter? And she goes, the ones who want to learn will learn regardless of what they're taught in the class. The ones that are going to fall through, we try to catch them. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's the one teacher was saying there's a grade 9 student who could not read, but the
Mm-hmm.
system pushes them through. And she
Mm-hmm.
says, you can't go play football in high school without reading. And he's like, well, whatever, right? And she goes, I'll be here every day after school. Your choice. And he showed up every day. And she got him up to
Nice.
his grade because he figured he's taking a scholarship. He's going to go pro. You have to have your grades up. You have to have a minimum of, I think it was 70,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If you can't read, you can't keep 70% grade average.
Mm-hmm.
So she got him up to reading, and she says, now it's up to you to do it over the summer. Get ahead on some classes so you don't get overwhelmed in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
That's
just like,
awesome.
I know. And I'm like, this is why I hung out with all my friends that had teachers as parents.
Mm-hmm.
Because things I didn't get in school, I could go to their house after school and ask their parents.
Nice.
And I still got invited for pizza night on Fridays. So there's bonus, right? So I
Love
look
it.
at the time. Um, okay, let's start bringing this to because I think we've given a lot of information, a lot of don't just rely on your doctor, do the research yourself. Like if you're not feeling well, like change up your diet, figure out what diet works for you. There's 100 million ways to do that. Um, don't always believe everything on the screen because, AI makes a lot of it up. What do you want the listeners to get from you as a final comment? Where to find you, all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things I could say, but I guess two things. One, don't ever lose hope just because you haven't found the answers yet.
Yeah.
You know, keep looking, like you're saying, keep searching. Uh, watch your energy too, I think, when you're searching. If you can get grounded, and like I think you mentioned something earlier of like, okay, I need help with this. You know, God, can you please just show me the direction? And you found that doctor all of a sudden that was 20 minutes away from you, you know? It's like sometimes the answers are closer than we think, but if we're too over in our head about it, we can miss it.
Hmm.
So sometimes it's just about centering yourself, getting calm, and just asking to be shown the way and being receptive to what comes your way.
Hmm.
And you might find an answer somewhere where you weren't looking. So just not losing hope and just keeping an open mind also because, you know, a, a few years before I tried carnivore, even 6 months before I tried carnivore, I wasn't open minded to that. I would have thought, but it was crazy to tell me that. But one person who I trusted talked about it, and then I did some more research. Then I did a little more and a little more, and then I was like, you know, this is actually worth a try. So just being open minded when it comes to healing and what that's going to look like for you. Don't think that you know exactly what it's going to look like because you're fooling yourself. There's always going to be a curveball.
And
And
sorry,
yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
add to that because carnivore from packing plants maybe isn't the right bet, but carnivore from an organic, really good water fed plus organically fed is a different carnivore,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, sourcing as best as you can and just, always going back to simplicity. Like, if things get too overwhelming, where can I simplify? Where can I simplify?
Hmm.
And just going back to that because it's that simplicity that takes a lot of the stress off. And that stress is what triggers inflammation in the body and triggers flare cycles um, directly. Like there's a direct link with stress, especially really bad emotional stress.
Hmm.
That was always my worst trigger. So, where can I simplify? Where can I reduce stress? And how can I get calm and grounded so that I can be more open minded for the doors that are opening for me and be receptive to the doors that are closing.
Hmm. Oh, and I like how you said that because the way time is becoming a massive illusion, we're all growing so fast that we're kind of catching up to ourselves too. And our bodies are trying to do the same thing. It's like what you ate on Monday might not work on Saturday. Honor that. And if you know how to muscle test before you go, I'm going to have this meat or I'm going to have this avocado. If it's not right for you on that day, honor that, right? Because our body is constantly shifting and new technologies, new awarenesses, new research is always being done. And we can be on that bandwagon too. So, and
And
also, your body's always speaking to you. Slow down enough to listen to it. If it
yeah,
says you're tired, it doesn't mean you have to go have a 5 hour nap. 10 minutes can make you feel like you just slept 8 hours, right? Or
Exactly.
if you've been sitting too long, do that little bit of walking, do that shaking out, do something to say, okay, I'm sorry, I'll wake you up. Thank you. Because we
Exactly.
have to move the energy out however we need to do it. That's how
I
much it's shifting.
I was talking to somebody on my podcast once, and she said every hour her little alarm on her phone goes off because she has a sit down job. And the alarm goes off. She puts on one song,
Hmm.
gets up and dances, just dances for one song, and then she can get back to work.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I put the alarm on for breathing for my team in corporate
Hmm.
because I was just like, I'm not working with you guys. Why? I go, because you're not even in your body. So, yeah, some people got the alarm taken off faster than others,
Right.
right?
I
Because
have
I'm
one
like,
last, I have one
yeah,
last little thing
yeah.
that you were saying, you know, our bodies always shifting and changing and trying to catch up. Well, also have respect for the fact that it isn't only until the last, even 50 years for a lot of the chemicals, EMFs, like the frequencies, the toxins that we have in current day,
Hmm.
like that's just a tiny, tiny, tiny little pinprick on the timeline that humans were. If humans have been on the planet this long, we're talking about tiny little speck over here
Hmm.
of all the stuff we're exposed to now versus the majority of human existence. So just because we're so technologically minded now and we have our computers and we have our fluorescent lights and we've got all these things going on, radio frequencies, doesn't just because we're advanced enough to mentally understand all this stuff doesn't mean our bodies as I mean they're the most technical and advanced things, right? Our bodies, our cells, but that doesn't mean that evolutionarily we've caught up to the point where we can detoxify from all that stuff
Hmm.
easily. And I just want you to not take that for granted and like understand that your body was designed for a completely different living environment than what we've created in current day reality.
Well,
And
and
take a step
more,
back. That's when we
yeah,
need to get outside, take a breath, move. That's when we get back to those basics.
and I'm finding more and more families are doing the all tech off. We're going back to board games
Yes,
and just like having family fun and yeah, like
actual
just
connection.
unplugging, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly because some days it's just like tech is there and you can work long hours and it helps you, but it's just like you forget that you can just be in your own body and in your own space and enjoy that immensely, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
as much as tech is helping, it's also not helping, right? Like, oh, well, you can do this kind of sauna or that kind of sauna or this cold plunge or that. And it's just like, it's all wonderful if it's right for you. Find out what's right for you. And if anything
Yeah.
you hear from this podcast is that there's so many tools, there's so much help, but if you're giving your power away to the outside tool, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be autonomy within. And that, if anything, I can say going forward in this world is the inner guidance is the number one guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is noise.
Yeah.
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 Well, it's been wonderful having you on this show. And so, once again, another authentic conversation. I'm your host, Adele Bernard. Our guest today was Holly Beck from Health Bridge Coaching, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Well, didn't that conversation go everywhere and everything? Um, Holly is great at what she does. There's nothing better than to be coached by someone who has been there, done it, knows what you're going through. Um, and autoimmune and health issues, it's not a one fit size fits all. It's you got to listen to your body. You have to listen to people who know, and then still take the all the information back into your body and say, what is the best for me and my body, right? Like, so today an apple might be good. Tomorrow it might not. Maybe tomorrow you have to have an orange. But listening to your body is the best way to understand your health and how to get through it. And once again, this is Authentic Conversations with Adele, and it is sponsored by my main company, which is Transition Clarity, where we get clear on our transitions, where we're at that critical junction, or we just need more in our life. We want better connections. We're starting over from a new job or going to retirement or, divorce or a loss of a loved one. Whatever that crisis is in your life and you want support and you want to go on a journey to help you through to the other side, to cross that bridge, I'm here to hold your hand. I won't do the work for you. I'll help you show you where the work is to do. So, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, share, like. It helps the algorithms. It gets more people to see the show. And I appreciate you being here and listening. Have a good day.